Title IX was a law passed that stated no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education, program, or activity receiving federal financial assistance.
It was passed on June 23, 1972, and is probably most widely known for its influence on high school and collegiate athletics, but impacted the life of women everywhere.
Women were able to get jobs, gain better careers, and go to more prestigious colleges.
Before Title IX, women were prejudiced just because of their gender. People thought that women couldn't do what men could do because they were weak. Men thought that they were better than women only because of their sex.
The Holocaust occurred because Hitler and the Nazi army thought that they were better than the rest of us. People were prejudiced only because of their religion or customs.
A bystander is someone who just sits by and watches bad things happen without doing anything about it. If you are a bystander, you are helping the oppressor more than anyone else.
You can avoid being a bystander by simply speaking up if someone is being oppressed. The smallest of acts can help someone out more than you know. The worst thing you can do is be silent. Silence always encourages the tormentor, never the tormented.
The lead up to World War II was fascism spreading, the Spanish Civil War, and Hitler rising to power. When Hitler first came to power, he did it the conventional way of being chosen. After he became chancellor, he started to abuse his given power. He started to take down all of the people and countries that opposed him, which eventually led to other countries getting involved.
Hitler had begun rebuilding the German army in 1936, which was in direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Germany and Italy formed an alliance called the Rome-Berlin Axis in 1936. They took over Austria in 1938 and then Czechoslovakia after that. The League of Nations tried to use appeasement to get Hitler, Mussolini, and their armies to stop by agreeing to some of their demands, but it didn't work.
The USSR began mobilizing for war and said that if Hitler invaded Poland, they would go to war with him and the Nazi army. Hitler then took Danzig because it controlled Poland's access to the sea, and on September 3, 1939, Great Britain and France declared war on Germany.
World War II impacts our world today because it was the only time nuclear warfare was used against another country. It changed the way war was fought forever. 38 million people were killed during World War II, with over 2 out of every 5 people being a civilian. Women began working in factories, and that started the move for women's rights after the war was over. During the war, Rosie Riveter was a national symbol for women working in the U.S.
The Holocaust was a mass slaughter of 11 million people. 6 million Jewish people were murdered, and within the 5 million, others were gypsies, homosexuals, mentally and physically disabled, Jehovah's Witnesses, non-Aryans, Catholics, communists, and other minorities.
It took place mostly in Europe. The major concentration camps were Auschwitz, which was in Poland, Buchenwald, which was in Germany, Dachau, which was in Germany, and Sobibor in Poland.
In 1908, Mueller v. Oregon case was about the equality of women compared to men. There was a law that limited women to only being able to work no longer than 10 hours a day. This was different for men, which meant men could make more money than women. It wasn't right for this law to be in case, so it sparked many widespread discussions about women's rights and how they were not a lesser sex.
Another case is the Phillips versus Martin Marietta that happened in 1971. This was the first sex discrimination case that involved Title IX. The court ruled that employers could not refuse to hire a woman with preschool-aged children while hiring men with the same age children. When it comes to getting hired for the jobs, the conditions of who can be hired should be the same for both sexes.
Even though the Holocaust was a horrible event in history, we can learn lessons from it to prevent a genocide from ever happening again. The first thing is to simply not be a bystander and take action. If something bad is going on in the world, everyone needs to help out. It'll not change on its own.
For example, if women are being discriminated against, don't just sit back and listen. Stand up for them or protest. Another important thing is to be familiar with the problems going on in our world today. Be educated on the major issues we have so we can do something to help.
A big problem during the Holocaust time period was that for years, people had no idea what was going on, so they couldn't do anything about it. Or they just sat back and watched what happened. A lot of the Jews didn't even know all the horrible things that were going on. And maybe if they would have been informed, a lot more of them could have gotten away while there was still time.
In the book Night, Eli Wiesel and other Jews that were sent to the concentration camps were deprived of their rights and were harshly discriminated against. They had to give up all of their belongings, wear uniforms, shave their heads, and weren't really allowed to say the things that they wanted to without being punished.
This ties into women's rights because sometimes women are deprived of their rights too, just in other ways. When women never used to have the right to vote, own property, participate in the Olympics, get paid the same amount of money as men, and many other things.
Since then, laws have been passed that give women the same rights as men. But that doesn't mean that women are still not discriminated against. Women cannot go into combat or have certain jobs in the military.
In both of these cases, a certain group was discriminated against because they were different. We have a chance to change this in the future, and it's our responsibility to do so.